Thank you. Okay. All right. Well, good morning. My name is Tony Manfredi. I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada Arts Council. Thank you for joining us for today's grant panel review. And I call this meeting to order at 10:02 a.m. Friday, February 24th, 2023. Welcome, everyone. This is our 2023 Artist Fellowship for Visual Arts, Three-Dimensional and New Genre Works category grant panel review. At this time, I will ask Nevada Arts Council staff to confirm that this meeting was properly posted.
The meeting was properly posted.
Thank you, Sapira. Now we will move to a land acknowledgement. We begin our Nevada Arts Council meeting by acknowledging that we gather today from the ancestral homelands of the Numa, the Niue, the Nuwuvi, and the Washishu, who have lived in the Great Basin since time began. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude to our four major indigenous groups, the Northern Paiute, the Shoshone, the Southern Paiute, and the Washoe. Not just the original caretakers of the land we now call Nevada, but for their enduring stewardship and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Today, the Nevada Arts Council reaffirms its commitment to improve the quality of life for our 27 tribal nations, bands, colonies, and the 62,000 plus urban Indians who choose to make Nevada their current home. Again, thank you for joining us today on this virtual meeting. Your attendance shows your commitment to Nevada arts industry, the Nevada arts industry, and on behalf of the staff and board of the Nevada Arts Council, I commend and thank you for all you do. At this time, we'll proceed to agenda item A3, roll call and introductions. I will now introduce our panelists. Carmen Beals serves as an associate curator and outreach director in Las Vegas with the Nevada Museum of Art. In her role, she curates exhibitions with a focus on African-American culture and is responsible for assisting the museum as it increases its offerings of statewide programming. Her latest exhibition, entitled Jana Ireland, on the architectural legacy of Paul R. Williams in Nevada, is a statewide exhibit that features the designs of trailblazing architect Paul Williams through the contemporary lens of Jana Ireland. She holds a master's in museum studies from Harvard University Extension School and has a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Prairie View A&M University. Natalie Hergert is a writer, curator, and the arts editor at Southwest Contemporary. She is currently based in Lubbock, Texas, and is a member of the artist-run exhibition space Co-opt Research Plus Projects. She holds a Master's of Art in Art History and Theory from Hunter College in New York. And if staff will go ahead and introduce themselves, please.
Hello, this is Sapira Churk, Artist Service Specialist based in the Las Vegas office.
Hi, this is Stephen Reed, Artist Service Specialist, and I am based in the Carson City office.
Good morning, I'm Krista Thicken from the Grants Program, and I'm based in the Carson City office.
And I do know we have...
Harry Ward, Deputy.
Sorry, Harry.
Harry Ward, Deputy Attorney General.
Thank you, Harry. This is Tony. We will now move on to agenda item B, public comment. Public comment is welcomed by the committee. Members of the public who wish to participate during a public meeting may do so by providing public comment during the two designated public comment periods. Additionally, public comment options may include, without limitation, telephonic or email comment. A period of public comment will be allowed at the beginning and end of the meeting. Because of time considerations, the period of public comment by each speaker may be limited to 3 minutes at the discretion of the chair, and speakers are urged to avoid repetition of comments made by previous speakers. Is there anyone joining today's meeting who wishes to provide public comment? And if you're an attendee on Zoom, you can go ahead and raise your hand. We have Harry Ward who has raised his hand. Harry, go ahead. Or maybe he has not.
Stephen, yeah, thank you.
Hopefully it was unmuted. I might have problems with my computer, but I can hear you guys. So just if you need anything, I'm here. Thanks.
Thank you, Harry. This is Tony. Any other public comment And has staff received any public comment via email?
No, we have not.
And Sapir, if you can just remember to say your name.
Oh,
before
sorry.
you talk. That's okay.
This is a pure check. No, we have not.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move to agenda item C. This is Tony for possible action. Review of the 24 visual arts, three-dimensional and new genre works category fellowship applications. We have assembled an outstanding panel of experts in the field of visual arts and encourage the panelists to share their knowledge about aesthetic, stylistic, or cultural trends that may affect other panel members' understanding of the application being discussed. We also urge you to speak out strongly in support of applications that you believe should be considered by your fellow panel members. Please remember that during the panel meeting, members attending virtually may not speak except during the public comment section before and after the review process is completed. You may also submit public comments via email to sreed@nevadaculture.org. And Sapir, if you could throw that into the chat, please, that would be great. Please note, applicants who are attending virtually today do not have an unfair advantage over those who are not in attendance. If you have any questions or concerns, please email or call staff after the meeting. During the panel meeting today, the panel will discuss and score 24 applications for the 2023 Artist Fellowship Grant in Visual Arts, Three-Dimension, and New Genre Works category. Based upon available funding, the Nevada Arts Council will award a to-be-determined number of artist fellowships of $5,000 to the top scorers of all categories, which encompass both two-dimensional work categories and three-dimensional and new genre work categories. The goal of this panel is to score the applicants that will determine funding recommendations presented to the Nevada Arts Council Board. Applications are scored based on the criteria in the grant guidelines, and the final decisions regarding grant awards will be made by the Nevada Arts Council Board during an upcoming public board meeting in March or April of 2023. All applications received have been reviewed by staff for eligibility, and all of the applications submitted to the panelists to review are eligible. It's the panelists' responsibility to determine if and to what extent each application is worthy of receiving funding, not to evaluate the applicant's eligibility. Please note the panelists have reviewed all applications and supplemental materials online prior to this meeting. Panel members are not permitted to enhance any application by offering their personal knowledge of an applicant. No information beyond the application itself may be discussed. Staff may only provide clarification and or assist panelists in locating information in accordance, it may provide clarification and or assist panelists in locating information. In accordance with Nevada open meeting law, panelists may not discuss any applications outside of this public meeting. So please make sure that no discussion regarding applications occurs during breaks, lunch, or after the meeting adjourns. This public meeting is being recorded. Please remember to identify yourself each time you speak with your name and speak loudly and clearly so that your comments will be recorded and that the audience members can hear you. All panelists previously received information regarding conflicts of interest. If a panelist stands to profit in some way from the awarding of a grant to any of the applicants we will be discussing, the panelists should refrain from participating in the discussion and voting on that application. Conflict of interest forms were given to panelists previously and have already been signed and turned in to the Nevada Arts Council staff. Panelists, when I call on you, please state your name and announce if you have any conflicts of interest. I will begin with Carmen Beals.
My name is Carmen Beals, and I do not have any conflict of interest.
Thank you, Carmen. And I'm wondering if you can just increase your volume on your microphone. It's a little soft.
Better?
Yeah, that seems better. Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you. And this is Tony again at Natalie. If you can respond on if you have any conflicts of interest.
This is Natalie, and I do not have any conflicts of interest.
Thank you. This is Tony. We'll take breaks at the top of each hour and a 45-minute lunch break as close to 1 p.m. Pacific time as possible. We'll also take breaks between each round. Fellowships are awarded to individual artists of exceptional talent in recognition of outstanding work and commitment to their artistic development. As panelists, we ask you to define the standard of quality and excellence based on your collective experience from a broad regional and national perspective. Please review applicant's work and judge it according to the following review criteria. Clear demonstration of the artist's intent and purpose, that is worth 10 points. Consistency in the exceptional caliber of the work, that is also worth 10 points. And evidence of artistic impact, such as influence within a specific community or genre of art, and that too is 10 points. In the first round, I will state the application number and ask each panelist to state their name, round one score, and provide initial comments for that application. If there's a large discrepancy in scores between panelists on a certain application, the staff may ask panelists to clarify their scores through more discussion. Panelists will have the opportunity to adjust their scores at that time. And if a panelist changes a score, they must state the justification for that change. The Nevada Arts Council staff will record the average panel scores for each applicant and determine which applications move on to the next round based upon the average score. So with that, Carmen or Natalie, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Thank you, Carmen.
And this is Natalie. I do not have any questions at this time.
Excellent. All right. Okay, so we will begin with AFG 0004, AFG 230004. And when you are ready, Carmen, please provide your score and initial comments.
Okay, Carmen Beals. And my initial score for AFG 230004 is a 26. I really enjoyed working through the variety of work samples provided by this artist. Clever interactions provided great content around the vanishing lands of the West. The artist really makes the viewer understand in order to bring or see this beautiful work of nature. One has to thoughtfully act in a positive manner, not only to see it, to appreciate it, once you see and understand its preciousness.
Thank you, Carmen. Natalie, your score and comments.
This is Natalie. For applicant number 0004, my overall score was a 21. And my notes on this artist was that I found that it was a very interesting process with the powdered pigments that this artist used. And I really appreciated the video showing the process of how these paintings were being made, or these artworks are being made. I found that the results in the artwork, as far as the exceptional caliber of the work, were uneven. And I found that the concept that the artist employed of audience participation in the form of clicking a switch in the artworks to reveal a picture is a somewhat underdeveloped concept. So I would like to see something a little bit more developed in that realm.
Great. Any additional comments that either of you would like to bring up? Response to each other, anything like that?
This is Carmen. No, I do not have any additional comments.
Okay.
This is Natalie, and I would like to just mention that I appreciate Carmen's bringing up of how this artist's work relates to the West, and that has enhanced my view of it, I think, in terms of looking at this. So thank you.
Excellent. All right, we will move to Krista. If you could begin the scoring process, please.
This is Krista. We are looking at the round one scores for application AFG 23-0004. If I can get your confirmed or changed score from Carmen, please.
My confirmed score is 26. This is Carmen Beals. My confirmed score is 26.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
I confirm that my score is 21. This is Natalie.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0004 are Carmen 26 and Natalie 21 for an average score of 23.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. Everybody can hear me okay? You can all hear me okay? Great. Okay. We will now move on to AFG 230014. And Natalie, if you will begin the discussion and scoring, please, when you're ready.
Okay, this is Natalie. I am pulling up this artist to refresh my memory. My preliminary score for applicant number 0014 is 21 as well. And I wrote in my notes that this artist has a compelling subject matter. And it's interesting to see the development of the artist's visual language. I also wrote that I would like to see more engagement with and conceptualization of the process of making ceramics and why that material is important to this artist.
Thank you, Natalie. Carmen, your comments and score, please.
And my score for artist 0014 is 22. I stated the pieces are documented well in the work description, and when viewing them, they are very graphically represented. The connections to the 2011 diagnoses are presented through somber tones. Through these works, one can understand the cry of a marginalized portion of society. And this work evokes the feelings of anxiousness and hopes for strength encountered through this art by the artist.
Tony, thank you, Carmen. Any additional comments, questions from our panelists on this application?
This is Natalie, and I do not have any other comments.
Carmen, and I do not have any other comments.
All right, Krista, if you can take us to the scoring, please. This is Tony.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0014. Natalie, if I can start with you, please.
My score is 21. This is Natalie.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
My score is 22. This is Carmen.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0014 are Carmen 22 and Natalie 21 for an average score of 21.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We are now moving on to AFG 23-0018. And Carmen, when you are ready, please begin your review and provide your score.
This is Carmen, and my score for 0018 is 24. The intertwined illusion of the photograph and the medical materiality provides the impact of mental healing, and it was delivered with the integrity through the artwork. It was interesting to see the fusions as it relates to our environment during the time when humans seek solutions to climate change.
Thank you, Carmen. And Natalie, if we can have your review and score, please.
This is Natalie, and my score for applicant number 0018 is a 25. And I found that this artist presented very high quality photography, and the additional elements are very original. And I enjoyed seeing the video of how the viewer encounters these works in the gallery. I found the composition very sophisticated. And as a critique of it, I would like to see more research-based engagement with the science with it, rather than the representation of science. Something more specific to those places that are depicted, rather than superimposing this idea or concept of human distress onto those environments.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists?
Carmen Beals, and my additional comment is to Natalie. I really appreciated the fact that you added search engagement component to it. That's a beautiful illustration to add as a comment.
And this is Natalie. Thank you, Carmen, so much. I don't have any additional comments on this one.
This is Tony. Thank you, Natalie and Carmen. Krista, if you can take us to scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0018. Carmen, if I can start with yours, please.
Carmen Beals, 24.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, my score is 25.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0018 are Carmen 24 and Natalie 25 for an average score of 24.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move on to application AFG 230019. And Natalie, if you, one second, 1, 2, 3. Yes, Natalie, if you will begin the discussion and scoring, please.
Yes, so this is Natalie. My score for applicant number 0019 is a 19. And this one I'll read my notes and then I will maybe add something to it after. So my notes for this artist is that the work is explicitly political and very focused on satirical subjects and specific political events, which I found rendered the work's relevancy and appeal to broader audiences as somewhat limited in scope. I wrote that as such, they hit one note, and locating a deeper meaning is a challenge with these works. The work that I found with the most complexity and that holds meaning beyond what initially meets the eye is the artwork entitled Toxic Masculinity, the sculpture. But I do want to add, should I add something now or should I wait until additional comments?
Why don't you wait until your additional comments? Yes. That'd be
Okay.
great. Yeah.
That's fine. Then I'll end there.
Okay, Carmen, this is Tony, by the way. Carmen, your comments and score, please. Initial score.
Carmen Beals, and my initial score is 26. Each representation is accurately described by the artist. The works are very satirical and emotion-filled, making it very easy for the viewer to understand this message. The historical content related to 26 Americans are thought to be provoking and clever, and I especially love the close-looking features of toxic masculinity of their appeal.
Thank you, Carmen. At this time, I know, Natalie, you said you had some additional comments, and this is Tony. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. This is Natalie. I want to thank Carmen for your analysis of this work. And I also want to mention that after I had submitted the score, this work kind of stayed with me and I thought about it afterward. And so I want to commend the artist on the very inventive use of materials in this work and how diverse they are and how specific they are to the meaning of each work. And I think that that is really well done. So I think that if I'm going to score, like I might change my score on this one to be higher. I don't know.
Yeah, and this is Tony. That's totally fine. When we get to the scoring, you
Okay.
can, we'll show your initial score and then you can adjust and change it based on the comments and discussion here. So
Yeah.
perfectly acceptable.
Okay.
Okay. Any additional comments before we move into scoring? All right. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0019. If I can start, Natalie, with your score, please.
I would like to change my score to a 21.
And then if you can just give a reasoning why, and it I think you already alluded to it. You can say because of the discussion that we had, you can say something simple like that if you would like to.
Okay, I would like to change my score because of additional thoughts that I had after my preliminary scoring.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
Carmen Beals, 26.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0019R, Carmen 26 and Natalie 21 for an average panel score of 23.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move on now to AFG 23-0023. Carmen, when you are ready, please begin the discussion.
Carmen Beals, 0023. And my score is a 29. Wonderful three-dimensional pieces were presented by the artists. I especially love the cardboard sculptures. This communal sculpture speaks volumes in providing context for working together, as well as that selection of blue uniform patterns that are interwoven throughout the piece. The work definitely informs the artist's statement and the descriptions that are a perfect analysis of the artist's thought process.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, your comments and score, please.
My initial score for applicant number 0023 is an 18. And my notes on this topic are that the paper mache sculptures are executed in an interesting way. And I found that the ceramics could be improved. The boxes that the public was involved in making, I found that the most interesting result with this artist.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments on this application? All right, seeing none. Krista, if you could take us to scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0023. And Carmen, if I could start with you, please.
Carmen Beals, 29.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, my score is 18.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0023 are Carmen 29 and Natalie 18 for an average score of 23.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move on to AFG 23-0027. And Natalie, when you are ready, please begin the review.
0027. This is Natalie, and my score for the artist applicant number 0027 is a 29. And this is, for me, one of the most memorable artists applications that I saw in this review process. I found that the through line in the artist's work is very evident. The sculptures of the chairs paired with the soot drawings are very compelling. And the use of movement in the installation took me by surprise. I found this artist's work to be very thought-provoking, and but the only thing is that I would like to see more work from over the years.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Carmen, your comments and score, please.
Carmen, my score is 26. And the artist produced rich and moody elements to accurately present their interpretation of death. As described in their work descriptions, they poetically share their feelings through accurate placements and elements of nature.
Thank you, Carmen. Any additional comments from the panelists?
This is Carmen. I really, as Natalie stated, I agree with you. That piece really resonated with me. It was just such a beautiful, poetic message that went contoured throughout the artwork, and it really did symbolize death in such a beautiful way.
Okay, thank you. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0027. And Natalie, if I can start with you, please.
This is Natalie, and my score is 29.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
This is Carmen, my score is 26.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0027 are Carmen 26 and Natalie 29 for an average score of 27.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We're moving to application AFG 230037. And Carmen, when you are ready, please begin your review.
0037, and I gave a score of 30. The futuristic concept designed to bring the contemporary narrative of our desert terrain was graciously executed. The graphics and animations were bold, colorful, and insightful. I particularly enjoyed seeing the Sierra Nevada and downtown Denver reimagined and inclusive of their histories.
Thank you, Carmen. Natalie, your comments and score, please.
This is Natalie, and my score for applicant number 0037 is a 20. And my notes are the desert network and the various motifs that recur in the work. I don't think as a viewer, I would understand necessarily the concepts behind the work if I were a viewer on the street. I found that the ideas and execution could be more developed, maybe with the insertion of more narrative.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists on this application?
I would offer an additional comment. This is Natalie, that I really appreciated Carmen's mentioning of these kind of specific landscapes that you recognize in the work. And I'd like to acknowledge that as someone who doesn't live maybe in the area that this artist is referencing, that might have been lost to me.
Carmen, thank you so much, Natalie. And I love your comment as well, more depth.
This is Tony. Thank you. Krista, if you can take us to scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0037. And if we could start with Carmen, please.
Carmen, 30.
Thank you. And Natalie.
Natalie, 20.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0037 are Carmen 30, Natalie 20 for an average panel score of 25.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move to application AFG 230041. Natalie, when you are ready, please begin your review.
This is Natalie, and my preliminary score for applicant number 0041 is a 17. I found with this artist that there was a very inventive use of materials and very imaginative work. I would encourage this artist to keep inventing with these materials and see where they take them. I found that the flower forms are the most successful and the human figures less so.
This is Tony. Thank you, Natalie. Carmen, your score and comments.
Carmen, my score for 0041 is a 17. Insightful and environmentally friendly works presented. The artist definitely stayed within the realm of his artistic description. Elements of design through the use of recycled materials were understood by the viewer and quite colorful.
This is Tony. Thank you, Carmen. Any additional comments from our panelists? All right, seeing none. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0041. Natalie, if I can start with yours, please.
This is Natalie. My score is 17.
Thank you. And Carmen.
This is Carmen. My score is 17.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0041 are Carmen 17 and Natalie 17 for an average score of 17.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move on to application AFG 230044. Carmen, when you are ready, please begin the review.
Carmen, and this is application 0044, and my score is a 24. The pieces are very creative, yet provide insight on the military background described by the artist. The rustic elements blend nicely, and as the artist states, although deconstructed, the elements are designed to see the fullness in objects as a whole.
Thank you, Carmen. Natalie, your comments and scores, please.
This is Natalie, and my score for applicant number 0044 is a 20. And I wrote that the horse sculpture shows this artist's potential in sculpting using these kinds of materials. I found that one the most compelling. But how the materials themselves relate to this artist's personal symbolism might be lost on the viewer, however.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists? Seeing none. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0044. Carmen, if I can start with yours, please.
Carmen, 24.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 20.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0044 are Carmen 24 and Natalie 20 for an average score of 22.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will now move to AFG 23-0048. 0048. Natalie, your comments and scoring when you are ready.
This is Natalie, and my comments or my scoring for applicant number 0048 is a 26. I wrote that the artist's relationship to both histories and futurisms is fascinating. The presentation is excellent. How these fantastical forms relate to the concept, I have some trouble reconciling, but I find it very original.
This is Tony. Thank you, Natalie. Carmen, your score and comments, please.
Carmen, application 0048, and my score is a 29. And the artist is very intentional in presenting beautiful tributes to the LGBTQIA+ community, specifically with the Memorial for Queer Raya Rights. Creativity and intentionality are embedded in each of the queer futurist work. Each presentation was pleasantly rich with meaning. These very detailed works blend nicely in desert terrain.
Carmen, this is Tony again. Could you just repeat that very last bit? It just cut out just a little bit. That very last sentence, please.
These very detailed works blend nicely into the natural desert terrain.
This is Tony. Thank you, Carmen. Any additional comments from our panelists? All right, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0048. Natalie, if I can start with you.
This is Natalie, and my score is 26.
Thank you. And Carmen.
Carmen, my score is 29.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0048 are Carmen 29 and Natalie 26 for an average score of 27.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move to application AFG 23-0049. And Carmen, when you are ready, please begin your review.
This is Carmen, application 0049, and my score is 23. The menagerie of miniatures placed within an exhibition was quite pleasant. It was especially fun to see how the basic elements within the collection creatively work together to represent multiple disciplines of photography and flat lay. I enjoyed the museum reference and appreciate the interactive capabilities with what was presented as stated in the work description.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, your score and comments, please.
This is Natalie, and my score for application 0049 is a 28. And I found that the flat lay photographs are more interesting than the diorama-like compositions. Having the objects floating more or less contextless is very interesting. But the project as a whole, as a collection, is very unique in that in the conceptualization of it as a palimpsest of cultures, as the artist phrased it.
This is Tony. Thank you, Natalie. Any additional comments from our panelists at this time? Okay, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0049. Carmen, if I can start with you, please.
This is Carmen, 23.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
This is Natalie, 28.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0049 are Carmen, 23, and Natalie, 28, for an average of 25.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move to application AFG 23-0052. Natalie, when you are ready, please begin the review.
This is Natalie, and my initial scoring for applicant number 0052 is 18. And I wrote that the work is well executed for the most part, particularly considering the scale. But as an oeuvre, I would have trouble distinguishing it as the work of one artist. And I found that some kind of unifying vision would make this application stronger.
This is Tony. Thank you, Natalie. Carmen, your score and comments, please.
Application 0052, and my score is a 23. The structures and public installations are very creative and encompass the joyfulness described within the statement. Each piece demonstrates stability and presents nice ways of recycling materials.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Any additional comments from either panelist? Let's see, none. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0058. Natalie, if I can start with yours, please.
Natalie?
Sorry, Krista, this is Tony. You just said 0058. I think we are on 52, correct?
52, yes. Did I say 58?
Yep, that's okay.
Application 0052. Natalie, if we can start with yours, please.
Natalie, my score is 18.
Thank you. And Carmen?
Carmen, my score is 23.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0052 are Carmen, 23, and Natalie, 18, for an average score of 20.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move to AFG 23-0054. Carmen, when you are ready, please begin the review.
This is Carmen, application 0054. My score is 27. The neon work is beautifully developed in capturing a colorful pop-like experience. The architectural structures are complementary and engaging when intertwined with the neon.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, your score and comments, please.
This is Natalie, and my scoring for applicant 0054 is 26. And I appreciate this artist's austere style, particularly the room installations and window pieces. The more complicated pieces, and I wrote the subject, the title, such as Untitled C 20.1 and E, 10 from 2012, I found less eye-catching to me as they're more busy. The artist's architectural interventions are the most successful of the works, but I wonder if it pushes the needle in any significant direction.
This is Tony. Thank you, Natalie. Any additional comments on this application? Okay, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0054. Carmen, if I can start with you, please.
I don't see it.
Oh,
Uh,
what is-
Maybe, am I the only one?
hold on just a second. Let me try it again.
No, this was Tony. Yeah, just it was the wrong screen. There you go.
Okay.
I don't even know what I picked then. Sorry. There
Oh,
it
no,
is.
that's okay.
All right, Carmen, if we can start with yours, please.
Carmen, 27.
Thank you. And Natalie?
Natalie, 26.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0054 are Carmen 27 and Natalie 26 for an average panel score of 26.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move to AFG 23-0055. And Natalie, if you will begin the scoring and review when you are ready.
This is Natalie, and my initial score for applicant number 0055 is a 24. I wrote that the artist's treatment of landscape and alternative processes could be developed more fully with more rigor and research in the work and how it relates to place. How the figure in the landscape works seems, well, I don't know, how am I saying that? The figure in the landscape works seems unresolved to me, but there's a lot of potential. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Natalie. Carmen, your score and remarks, please.
And this is 0055. And the artist, this is Carmen, 0055. My score is 27. The artist speaks volumes about understanding the desert and environment through the variety of works presented. I especially enjoyed the body and natural elements showcased in Passing Time in the Desert.
Thank you, Carmen. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0055. Natalie, if I can start with you, please.
Natalie, my score is 24.
Thank you. And Carmen.
Carmen, my score is 27.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0055 are Carmen 27 and Natalie 24 for an average score of 25.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We will move to AFG 23-0057. Carmen, when you are ready, please begin your review.
This is Carmen, application 0057, and my score is 21. The artist accurately described words that speak to a variety of emotions. It was nice to read the description of how my happy place was installed.
This is Tony. Thank you, Carmen. Natalie, your score and comments, please.
This is Natalie. My preliminary score for application 0057 is 16. And I wrote that there are many divergent strands in the artist's work between process and outcome. I would focus on either photography or experimenting with the sculpture process with a dedicated series, as in iterating the same kind of things many times, honing the process and see what comes of that. And I found that the relationship of the work to mythical subjects could be a promising avenue for that kind of exploration.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists? Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0057. If I can start with Carmen, please.
Carmen, 21.
Thank you. And Natalie.
Natalie, 16.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0057 are Carmen 21 and Natalie 16 for an average score of 18.5.
Thank you, Krista. We will move to application AFG 23-0058. And Natalie, you are up.
This is Natalie, and my preliminary score for applicant 0058 is 25. For the text-based work, some are more impactful than others. Those that are grounded in specific words and symbols I found have more limited impact than those that contain more ambiguity and more possible interpretations. The work entitled Trajectory Patterns is devastating, and the two quilts are also staggering as representations of data. I also found that the billboard piece has a lot of potential as a series.
Thank you, Natalie. Carmen.
Carmen, application 0058, my score was a 30. The compelling work unequivocally matches the artist statement and work description. Both the pieces and the work description are very moving and intricately delivered. Each work submitted provides a storyline of the political climate of today.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0058. If we can start with Natalie, please.
Natalie scores 25.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
Carmen scores 30.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0058 are Carmen 30 and Natalie 25 for an average score of 27.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move on to AFG 23-0060. Carmen, when you are ready.
Carmen, 0060, my score is 25. The artist is very descriptive in explaining the intricacy of the organic works. Each of the pieces are quite unique, providing the viewer an impactful view of a variety of copper and glass formations.
Thank you, Carmen. Natalie.
This is Natalie. My score for applicant 0060 is 24. And I wrote that these are really exquisite examples of glass work. The Dragon Egg series is incredible looking. The pieces where glass objects are attached to a metal armature I found less successful, but the experimentation in glass and dedication to craft is very impressive.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panel? Seeing none, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0060. Carmen, if I can start with you, please.
Carmen, 25.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 24.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0060 are Carmen 25 and Natalie 24 for an average score of 24.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move on to AFG 23-0063. Natalie, your score and comments, please.
This is Natalie, and my score for applicant 0063 is 18. In the works Pumpkin Boy, Ghosted, and Lil Monster, the application of paint on the face shows unique style. These works, those works that veer away from the traditional, I find most successful. I think this artist needs to find what makes their work most unique, rather than working with conventional characters like Frankenstein and Dracula, for instance, and really create their own characters.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Carmen, your score and comments, please.
My score is a 12. Carmen, my score is a 12. And the work description is very thorough. The efforts used in recycled material to create artistic 3D works of art are applied.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists? Seeing none, Krista, our scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0063. Carmen, if I can start with you, please.
Carmen, 12.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 18.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0063R, Carmen 12 and Natalie 18 for an average score of 15 even.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move on to AFG 230067. Carmen, if you will lead us in this discussion, please.
Okay. Carmen, 0067. My score was a 30. The very descriptive and inviting inclusionary commentary. The pieces are stunning to the eye. People from all walks of life can relate to them as they are very immersive in Vegas culture.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, your score and comments.
This is Natalie. My score for candidate 0067 is a 22. And I wrote, the works are well executed and designed, but I find it unclear what the work means or signifies on a deeper level. The works are very fun, but I found the concept to be underdeveloped.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists?
This is Natalie. I'd like to offer an additional comment that I enjoyed hearing Carmen's perspective on this artist's work and how it is integrated into the Las Vegas landscape. And that enhances my understanding of it.
Ms. Carmen, thank you, Natalie. I love your interpretation as well.
This is Tony. Thank you both. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0067. Carmen, if we can start with you, please.
Carmen, 30.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 22.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0067 Carmen 30 and Natalie 22 for an average score of 26.
Thank you, Krista. It is 10:59, so we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break if that's convenient for the panelists. And why don't we say we will reconvene at 10:05. We will see you then.
11:05.
Sorry, 11:05. This is Tony, 11:05. We're not going back in time. No.
I need a DeLorean.
Hi, this is Tony. It is about 11:05. We are just awaiting. There's Natalie. Great. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We will call the meeting back to order. We are just going to begin discussing application AFG 230070. And Carmen, please lead us in the discussion. I'm sorry, Carmen, this is Tony. You hit mute twice. No problem.
This is Carmen at 0070. My score is a 26. The artist developed a great narrative that resonates with their legacy. The memories are portrayed in an exquisite visual along with narration. The artist also brings color to life with her experimental videos and the sculptures of the womb.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, your score and comments, please.
This is Natalie. My scoring for applicant 0070 is a 25. And I wrote that the work from 2019 on is very sophisticated and developed, while the work prior to that seems to still be trying to find its way. I was extremely taken by the video work exploration of home and how it operated on so many levels: memory, technology, place and site, diaspora. And that is one of my top favorite artworks I saw while reviewing these applications. Found that the artist's statement could be more focused and directed toward the breadth of the work and how it operates in the world.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists?
This is Carmen, and Natalie, I really enjoyed your description, especially considering that you aren't in this particular area. It's actually some streets that were recorded that I see every day, but your description is so impactful, and it seems like you were just walking or in the car with me, as I go on the street every day. Thank you for that additional information. Thank you.
This is Natalie. I will offer one other additional comment to that. And I think that's one of the strengths of that work, is that it's so relatable, even if you aren't familiar with that place, just because we all use Google Maps and Google Street View and can identify with that experience of seeing those familiar streets, but in a different way, mediated in a different way. So thank you, Carmen.
This is Tony. Thank you both. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0070. Carmen, if we can start with you, please.
Carmen, 26.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 25.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0070 are Carmen 26 and Natalie 25 for an average score of 25.5.
Thank you, Krista. We'll move to application AFG 230083. Natalie, when you are ready, please begin your review.
This is Natalie, and my scoring for application 0083 is a 20. I wrote, the work is varied in media, but a bit all over the place in terms of focus and intent. I found it interesting how the artist collaborates with community, but some works are so personal that they don't hold import for a wider audience.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Carmen, your score and comments.
For 0083, my score is a 30. The artistic talent of abstract expressionism and the love of the desert was displayed beautifully in the artwork presented. The artist provided a lovely dynamic that unfolds in the desert bloom, infusing water, family, and life cycles, and things which are necessities to many and all can relate to.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists? Krista, please take us to the scoring.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0083. Natalie, if we can start with you, please.
Natalie scores 20.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
Carmen scores 30.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0083 are Carmen 30 and Natalie 20 for an average score of 25.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move on to application AFG 23-0084. And Carmen, please lead us in the discussion.
Okay, this is Carmen for application 084. My score is 28. The pieces of work are beautifully described in the artistic intent, and they are accurately.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, your comments, please.
This is Natalie. My score for 0084 is 17. I wrote that the work is inconsistent across the selection, and I don't get a good sense of what is important to this artist in subject or form. But I enjoyed the mosaics the most out of the works.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0084. Carmen, if we could start with you, please.
Carmen 28.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 17.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0084 are Carmen 28 and Natalie 17 for an average score of 22.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move to application AFG 23-0087. And Natalie, please begin your review.
This is Natalie, and my score for 0087 is 29. The media is varied in this artist application, but the point of view is very strong and well expressed. I find excellent sculptural work and conceptually strong video presentation. The 2017 painting Disaster, though conceptually related to the other works, didn't deliver quite as successfully in color and composition. The more recent figures, however, in their monochrome are really well done. But overall, throughout the work, extremely compelling subject matter expressed with wit, humor, and poignancy. This is work that I could see on a national stage.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Carmen, your comments and score.
My comments and score for 0087. My score is a 29. Both Jominia's Refuse and the Yellow Rose of Texas are properly described in the text, providing a great expectation for the art. The art matches, beautifully expressing the deconstruction of Caesar's Palace and unfolds into a grand statement of the Black cowboy.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Any additional comments from our panelists? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0087. Natalie, if we can start with you, please.
Natalie, 29.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
Carmen 29.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0087 are Carmen 29 and Natalie 29 for an average of 29.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move to AFG 23-0090. And Natalie, if you will lead us in the discussion.
This is Natalie. My scoring for applicant 0090 is 18. And I wrote that I find this interesting work, which needs more development and technique. The work needs refining, but there is an emergent visual language that the artist could really continue to explore.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Carmen, your score and comments, please.
Score is 0090. I'm sorry, my score is 20 for 0090. And this is Carmen. The artist provided a huge bandwidth of the cause and effects of mental health. The video summoned empathy towards its subjects, and each subject was presented thoroughly.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one panel scores for application AFG 23-0090. Carmen, if we could start with you.
Carmen, my score is 20.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 18.
Thank you. Round one panel scores for application 0090 are Carmen 20 and Natalie 18 for an average score of 19.
Thank you, Krista. That concludes our round one discussion and review and scoring. We will actually take a break and reconvene at 11:30. Staff is going to determine which applications or present to you both which applications we feel should move on to the second round. You will both have an opportunity to review those scores, and we can talk more about all of that once we compile the numbers and sort all the scores. So this meeting is adjourned until 11:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back. It is 11:31. We're just waiting for Natalie to jump on the call and we'll reconvene and call the meeting to order. Hi, Natalie. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay, we'll recall the meeting to order. This is Tony Manfredi. We have gone through and looked at the round one scores. Krista, if you could pull those up on screen, please, and sorted by order from highest to lowest. Okay. And as staff looked at the listing here, we saw a bit of a natural break at the average scores of 25. Particularly because there were two scores. Carmen had two 30s in those in AFG 230037 and 0083 that you see at the bottom. And so we felt like that was a natural break for our round two discussion. Do our panelists, there are a couple others that have different scores. Do our panelists want to, what do you feel about that break? And do you want to bring in any other applications to discuss?
I think that the break is a natural break. In my opinion, we should move forward.
This is Natalie, and I concur. I do not want to bring in any other applications.
Okay, this is Tony. Thank you both. With that, Krista, if you could resort those by application number, and then we will begin the second round. So the second round will allow time for more discussion. Again, I'll state the application number, and then we'll ask both of you to discuss the applications a little bit more. Obviously, you gave good, thorough descriptions and discussions at the first round, but if there are other things that you can add to that, add to the discussion, we'd love to hear that. Then we'll look at adjusting any scores if need be. And as was stated previously, if you do want to adjust your score, you'll just need to say what that adjustment will be and cite your justification for the change. Does that make sense with everyone? Everyone clear with that? Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. All right. So Krista, since you have the list there, I will. Oh, wait, I can do this. Hold on one second.
I sent it to you also, Tony, in the chat.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll just, yeah, I can sort it here, I think. Okay. Yep, got it. Okay, we will begin with AFG 23-0027. We'll give you all a moment to get that application up. 0027. And Carmen, when you are ready, we'll go ahead and begin with you. Any other, and this can be a really kind of a free-flowing discussion as well. So, let's just have it as free-flowing as we can to talk about the applications.
Okay, so this is Carmen, and it is one of the first applications that I had an additional comment on, and just the fact that it was just a beautiful silhouette of death presented in just a very artistic fashion. I really love the symbolism of the chair, in the fact that many times when you look at a person who has passed away, you could see that symbolism in the chair, but then they created the skeletal element with an addition of the silhouette that's just gorgeous, in my opinion. So I don't have any additional changes that I would like to make, but this is one of the pieces that I vividly remember.
Thank you, Carmen. Natalie, any other comments?
I don't have too much to add for this one. I was extremely impressed by this application. The quality of work is really of a very high caliber. Yeah, I agree with Carmen and what she just mentioned about the overarching themes of this work. And I think the artist is very successful in conveying that.
Excellent. This is Tony. Thank you so much. Okay, we will go ahead and move to your final scores for round 2 on application AFG 230027. Krista.
I feel like it's showing the wrong thing again. What did it give me? Hold on just a second. Sorry, this is Krista. It's pulling up the wrong screen. There, it was not letting me click there. Okay, so this is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0027. So you can either change them at this point or reconfirm what your scores are, and these will be the final scores for the applications as we go. Carmen, if we can start with you, please.
Carmen, 26.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 29.
Thank you. The final panel scores for AFG 23-0027 are Carmen 26 and Natalie 29 for an average score of 27.5.
Thank you, Krista. We will move to application AFG 23-0037. 0037. And Natalie, you can begin the conversation when you're ready.
Let me pull it up. This is Natalie. And we are looking at 0037. This is the artist who uses digital media and presents it also in public spaces, which is interesting. And I don't think that I have any further comments on this, but I welcome anything from Carmen, since our scores were a little bit divided on this one.
Yes, and the reason why I feel like if this piece resonated with me is because I've lived in both Denver and in the Sierras, the Sierra Nevada desert terrain area, and researched a lot of the history. And so I'm thinking maybe that particular feeling and those thoughts bring in the back of my mind as I reviewed those pieces, they really resonated. Those different terrains really resonated in the works.
Mm-hmm. And if I could add to that, then this is Natalie. I really appreciate that this artist is coining a concept of the desert network. And I think that that's important in that they're really trying to define this idea. I think where this work falls short for me is that the way this concept is communicated through the animations, I don't find that it's as it doesn't present itself in a way that communicates the concept to me very clearly. Even knowing these places, the work in how digital it presents itself, I find kind of gives a bit of a break between the concept and the way it looks aesthetically, perhaps.
So this is Tony. And that's great. This dialogue is great. So if you have any additional comments, now would be the time to relay those. Okay. And Krista, you can take us to scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0037. Natalie, if we can start with you on this one.
Natalie, my score is 20.
Thank you. And Carmen.
Carmen, my score is 30.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0037 are Carmen 30 and Natalie 20 for an average of 25. Although I need to get it back open so that I can do that. 25. There you go.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll now move to the second round review of AFG 230048. 0048. Carmen, when you are ready, you can begin the conversation.
Well, this is 48. Yeah, for me, I really did love the beautiful tributes to the LGBTQIA community. I never, prior to understanding, prior to moving to the desert, I never would have imagined having such precious stones that are featured in the pieces of work placed in such a dynamic way in the desert. And that is one of the things that I've reflected within my score. They were just beautiful. The pieces were beautiful and just stunning, in my opinion.
Thank you, Carmen. And Natalie.
This is Natalie, and I really enjoyed this application as well. And it was so interesting to think about, especially the way the artist points to the future and also points to the past and finds a way to crystallize those ideas and those timelines into these forms, I think is really unique. And I want to reiterate what Carmen mentioned about how well the work is presented in the landscape, which I think is a really compelling feature, which I didn't mention before, but I agree with that.
Thank you both. This is Tony. Any additional comments?
Yeah, I love the way you just said crystallize. It's so poignant. Thank you.
It's apt.
Excellent. Okay, Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0048. Carmen, if we can start with you, please.
I'm in 29.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 26.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0048 Carmen 29 and Natalie 26 for an average score of 27.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll now move to the second round discussion of AFG 230049. 0049. And Natalie, if you could lead us into the discussion, please.
This is Natalie. So this body of work is very interesting, and I can see just how much work this artist has put into compiling this collection, defining it visually and aesthetically. And I commend the artist on a really unique body of work. I can't really think of many other comparable instances. And I also really appreciate like this final image the artist includes, which shows viewers engaging with the work. And I think that's one of the strengths of this work, is that it invites people in to examine these collections and create their own connections to the objects presented.
Thank you, Natalie. Carmen, go ahead.
This is Carmen. I really enjoyed the multiple ways where art could be viewed and extracted. I remember one of the things that was mentioned in the first round by Natalie. I really enjoyed the fact that she stated that it could be a little less in a diorama. Is that what you stated? A diorama-like pattern? And I read that resonated with me, but I really love just the various variety of clever elements that were presented within this application.
Thank you both. This is Tony. Any additional comments?
This is Natalie. I'd like to offer one more comment just to maybe elucidate a little bit on my analysis of the use of diorama and how I see that relating to the artist's work. For me, when I view the works in the diorama form, it seems like the artist there is imposing sort of a narrative on the objects. And I found that the works that were presented without a narrative, with the objects kind of floating in space or in the flat lay photographs, I found those to be more interesting because they didn't tell me what to think about the objects or how they related to each other. And so that's why I found those the more successful of them.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0049. Natalie, if we can start with you on this one.
Natalie, my score is 28.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
Where's 23?
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0049 are Carmen 23 and Natalie 28 for an average of 25.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move on to second round review and scoring of AFG 23-0054. 0054. And Carmen, when you are ready, please lead us in the discussion.
I don't have a lot to add. I did love the neon work as far as the creative ways that it was implemented. It just reminded me of a fun, colorful pop work or pop like events that everyone can engage in. And just, it was a joyfulness that I felt when gazing at the pieces as well, in addition to reviewing the work description. It was fun.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, any other comments?
This is Natalie, and my further comments on this application are that I really like the use of color in the work, and I think that that's very considered in the way the artist employs color. I also like how intentional the artist is in how they engage with the architecture of the spaces that they're working in. And I think that also comes through in this public artwork that's presented at the end with the moving, flashing lights conveying motion in this tunnel, which is really inventive.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments? All right, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0054. Carmen, if we can start with you, please.
Row 055.
54.
54.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any additional comments if it's 54.
Oh, you're
27. 27. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 26.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0054 are Carmen 27 and Natalie 26 for an average score of 26.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll move on to second round review and scoring for AFG 23-0055. 0055. And Natalie, please lead us in the discussion.
This is Natalie, and I'm looking at the works by 0055. The additional comments I'd like to make about this work is, I mentioned that in this artist's work, the relation of the figure in the landscape seemed unresolved to me. Some of these works seem to kind of echo work that I've seen expressed by various artists in the video and photographic realms. And I don't know how much this artist's work adds to that conversation at this point. Maybe those ideas could be further developed in the artist's work. But what I do find compelling are the landscape photographs and the process that the artist goes through to create these. I think that's they're very interesting to look at. But I don't know how well they really define the place that they're associated with. If I were not to know what place they're supposed to point to, I might not be aware of that, or I wouldn't gather that necessarily from all of them. Some of them were more successful than others for sure. But I think that's all I have to say on it.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Carmen.
I would have to agree with Natalie in the fact the artwork it does not depict a specific place, or it almost becomes, it is wonderful, but it almost becomes sort of like a monochrome feel. It has a monochrome like feel. So that would be my only additional comment to the fact that they provide nice, a variety of elements and environmental depictions.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Krista, scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0055. Natalie, if we can start with you on this one, please.
Natalie, 24.
Thank you. And Carmen, please.
Carmen, 27.
Thank you. Final panel scores for AFG 23-0055 are Carmen 27 and Natalie 24 for an average score of 25.5.
Thank you, Krista. We'll move on to second round scoring and review of AFG 23-0058. 0058. And Carmen, please lead us in the discussion.
For 0058, I really enjoyed the storyline of the political climate that was captured within each of the works that were presented. I felt that they were relatable given the time that we're in now, and where a lot of individuals, personally, collectively, whatever side you're on, it's relatable. Joe, through the artwork.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, any comments?
This is Natalie, and I found this artist's work to be very interesting in the materials chosen to engage with the subject matter. I think that the one work that really I found didn't quite live up to what the artist's expressed intent was the installation entitled "The Likes of Which You've Never Seen Before," which has all the pennants and banners with phrases habitually repeated by Donald Trump. And well, I don't know, and this one, maybe I misunderstood it at first in the way the artist describes it, as the way words can lose their meaning and impact when they are used so frequently as bombastic rhetoric. And I found that in this case, these words have the opposite effect, in that they don't quite lose their meaning, but they gain a completely different meaning, or they gain this association, which the artist also mentions as well. But I found that, yes, these are words that have an unavoidable association with Trump. And so as an installation, I didn't see how this really expressed how words lose their meaning, I guess. Maybe that's what I was trying to go for with that. But I found that the works that the artist used with words that had more ambiguous and multiple interpretations, I found to be more interesting to me.
Thank you, Natalie. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0058. Carmen, if we can start with you, please.
Carmen, 30.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 25.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0058 are Carmen 30 and Natalie 25 for an average of 27.5.
Thank you, Krista. Continuing discussions on round 2, AFG 23-0067. 0067 is the next application. Natalie, please lead us in the discussion.
So 067, this is Natalie. So this is a pretty interesting example where my score was different than Carmen's. And maybe this is because this is the first time I've seen this work. And it seems that this work is embedded in the landscape of Las Vegas. So I don't have a relationship to it prior. They're really whimsical, and it seems that this artist is very focused on creating public art, which is, as Carmen mentioned before, it's important for public art to be able to engage all viewers, and I think that the artist is successful in that, where these works relate directly to Las Vegas as a place. I was not convinced that, I don't know, like the forms of spiraling dust devils, I mean, I can understand that, but the way that they're executed by the artist, I found fun, but maybe less meaningful.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Carmen.
Yeah, I love the way that you utilize the word whimsical and almost even flighty. So I really love some of the works, especially I love the microphone. And I believe the microphone is actually in a fun place just because Vegas is so, and in the entertainment industry, and knowing that microphone, it almost symbolizes an era of richness, especially when ingrained with the thought of the bronze, of the various world-class entertainment that was brought in the past to make Vegas what it is today, and speaks volumes to what we could be in the future as a world of entertainment full of richness and fun and flightiness and whimsical.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0067. Natalie, if we could start with you, please.
Natalie scores 22.
Thank you. And Carmen.
Carmen scores 30.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0067 are Carmen 30 and Natalie 22 for an average score of 26.
Thank you, Krista. We'll continue review, second round review, AFG 23-0070. 0070. And Carmen, please lead us in the discussion.
This is one of the pieces that we reflected on earlier, I believe. with the legacy of the artist's narrative, and that the visual, no, that's not it. It's another one. I'm sorry. The visual elements that were presented are quite colorful. I love the videos. Oh, yes, it is. It is the one that where, although we are in a variety of places, you're in one place, I'm in another place, we can both resonate with the fact that we all understand Google Earth and just those elements coming together to create this beautiful work of art, these beautiful works of art.
Thank you, Carmen. Natalie.
And this is Natalie. I just have one other thing to add about this art, this artist's work is I want to mention the social aspect of the work with this social practice hub called the Cloud House, which it sounds like, so, I mean, I really appreciate artists who bring other artists together in conversations about creativity and facilitating workshops and maintaining social connections between artists in a scene. And I think that contributed to my high score on this artist's work, because I figure that they have an impact in their community as well.
Thank you, Natalie. All right, Krista, unless there are any other additional comments, we can go to scoring.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0070. Carmen, if we could start with you, please.
Carmen, 26.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 25.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0070 are Carmen 26 and Natalie 25 for an average score of 25.5.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. We'll now move to second round discussion and scoring for AFG 230083. 0083. And Carmen, if you can lead the discussion.
The overall discussion, the consensus that I have is just the fact that the artist was so inclusive of so many elements, such as just the water, family, life cycles, those things that are basic elements of human rights, which gives humans just basic necessities that are needed for a complete life cycle. And just that's what I liked most about these. The variety of pieces presented.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. Natalie, your comments.
This is Natalie, and this is pretty interesting because in my review of this artist's work, I found that some of the works didn't relate, whereas because they were so personal and related very much to the artist's family and artist's extended network of friends, and but maybe didn't communicate across or beyond that, or didn't have as much of an import to someone who might be outside of that circle. So I find it interesting that Carmen says how the way or the themes in the artist's work are relatable across boundaries. So it's interesting that we have different takes on that one. I would like to see with this work, artist's work, to have to hone in on that, on a focus perhaps that that really expresses the artist's intentions with it beyond personal connections, I suppose. but I can also see how we can relate to many of these things, like creating a portrait of ourselves on Zoom like we are right now, or trying to reach out and create connections across geographies and with students, and yeah.
Thank you, Natalie. This is Tony. Any additional comments? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0083. Carmen, if we could start with you, please.
Carmen, 30.
Thank you. And Natalie, please.
Natalie, 20.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0083R, Carmen, 30, and Natalie, 20, for an average panel score of 25.
Thank you, Krista. Last application for second round, AFG 23-008. Oh, wait, yes, 87. 0087. And Natalie, if you can go ahead and begin this one as well, please.
And this is Natalie. And I think that Carmen and I agree that this work is very strong. I think overall, out of all of the applications that I reviewed, I found that this application, in the way that it was written, expressed, and the quality of the artworks, was of the highest caliber that I saw in all of the applications. I think that the sculptures are, I mean, they're really great. And I love how this artist connects to place and to their relationship to Las Vegas and Caesar's Palace, but in a way that I think could be understood by people who are outside of that area. I think that this work could be understood and reckoned with and engaged with in multiple arenas. The video works are unique and convey a really strong personal sense of self and community that I think is really well expressed, and they're surprising and witty, and I just thought that this work was really great.
Thank you, Natalie. Carmen.
This is Carmen, and Natalie, you summed it up wonderfully. And in addition to that, I really love the storyline of the Black Cowboy. That's a storyline that's just been ignored for so many years in media, but it just really resonates. But the way that it's presented, everyone can, as you stated, everyone can relate to this, and it's just beautiful, impactful, and I just appreciate it, the interaction with you on this as well, Natalie.
Thank you, Carmen. Krista, if you can take us to the final scoring, please.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores for application AFG 23-0087. Carmen, if I could start with you, please.
Carmen, 29.
Thank you. And Natalie.
Natalie, 29.
Thank you. Final panel scores for application 0087R, Carmen, 29, and Natalie, 29, for an average score of 29.
Thank you, Krista. That concludes our second round scoring and review. Krista, if you can please put the rank those. I don't believe there were any changes in scores from the first round to the second round.
No, I do not see any, so we'll get this. We'll resort it real quick. Oops, wrong way.
Great, thank you. This is Tony. All right, so here's kind of where we stand. So we are going to need to look at this because we have to be able to provide the Nevada Arts Council board with some clear ranking. And what we have right now, based on the score, we obviously have a high of 29 for application AFG 23-0087 after 2 rounds of scoring. You both feel like that is the strongest application of the pool. And we have a 26.5 in there, and then we have three 27.5s. So we're going to need to be able to determine and rank those 27.5 applications in a hierarchy of sorts. So it can't be higher than the can't be lower than the 26.5 or higher than the 29, given that you've gone through 2 reviews now and you all feel really comfortable there. So we're going to need to go to a round 3 and discuss those 27.5 applications, so we can come up with a ranking in hierarchy of point differentiation. So that means you will need to adjust points in those 3 applications. So it is 12:12. Why don't we plan to reconvene at 12:20? We'll take a quick break, reconvene at 12:20 and begin discussion on those 3 applications.
Carmen, did you get those ones written down? I could see Natalie was.
Yes, I wrote them down. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. We'll be back at 12:20. Hello, everyone. It's 12:21. We'll reconvene as soon as our panelists return. Hi, Carmen and Natalie. Excellent. Welcome back. All right. We will call this meeting back to order. So, Krista, could you please put the scores back up on screen? We're actually looking at the right. So, okay. So this is where we stand currently is we based on two reviews of applications, the panel has come to a conclusion of the highest ranking score of 29, and then 3 in the range of 27.5, and the next at 26.5. And in order for us to present this to the board and be able to award funding based on available funding, we need to make sure that those 3 27.5 applications have a hierarchy so that we can award funding accordingly. So let me just open it up to the panel right now, just as in looking at those three applications. Do either of you have a sense on how you would rank those 3 from highest to lowest?
I definitely have a sense. This is Carmen. Absolutely rank 27 as the highest, application 0027 as the highest between those 2. I'm sorry, those 3.
Okay. And Natalie, your thoughts?
This is Natalie, and I agree. I would put number 0027 in the number 1 spot.
Okay. And then how about the other 2 then? Which would be second and which would be third?
I can offer, this is Natalie. My second place spot would be 0048. And third place for me would go to 0058.
Okay.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Natalie.
Well, that's nice. We had consensus there. For our attendees who are watching, let's talk a little bit about why you felt 0027 was higher, why 0048 would be second in that, and why 0058 would be third.
Just for 0027, at the beginning, this was the first one that both Natalie and I resonated with, and actually remembered the piece, remembered different elements of the piece off of the bat without even having to look at it. The second piece that I loved, it's just the mixture of crystals in the desert, and just the futuristic elements of understanding and the expression of the LGBTQ community in the desert with those gorgeous natural elements. It was just fascinating. And then that puts 0058 in third place, almost in a natural format.
Thank you. Thank you, Carmen. Go ahead, Natalie. This is Tony. Yep.
This is Natalie. And I think for me, as far as ranking these 3 artists' work, I find that I agree with Carmen that the 0027 has really an impact and a lasting power. It stays with you. You remember that work and how well it's done. I think all 3 of these artists' work is very strong. But yeah, I definitely favor 0027 above the other 2, just in terms of clarity of intention and presentation, followed closely by 0048 because the presentation on those works is really exquisite. I think that the artists narrative in explaining what's behind those works and how they express this kind of queer futurism is super compelling. And I look forward to seeing more of that kind of work and how it expresses itself out in those desert terrains. I think can be really fruitful. And 0058, I think, is really interesting work. The reason I ranked that one as number 3 is that I didn't find it quite as impactful as the others, though I think that artist's trajectory shows a lot of promise in terms of having a very singular voice, and the way that that artist uses data through textiles is really interesting, and I think offers a lot of avenues for exploring different subject matters that are of import to the wider community and the nation at large.
All right, thank you, Natalie. So if we were to look at our scores here, just so we could adjust them, I would say then let's 0058 would stay as is at 27.5. This is a recommendation, just so we could look at some adjustments of numbers here to get a nice clear flow. So then the key would be on 0027, which of, if we could raise one of your 2 scores to account for that, and then also look at kind of adjusting and raising scores in the other to give a proper hierarchy there. So
Okay.
any thoughts on a score adjustment in 0027?
I would definitely, I feel compelled after reviewing this 3 times to increase my score to 28 for number 0027.
Thank you, Carmen. This is Tony. And then Natalie, you're good with that scoring and adjustment as is? Great. Okay. And then in 0048.
This is Natalie. For 0048, I would like to adjust my score up to a 27, which will give us this clear ranking and reflects that my high esteem of this project.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you all. That was great. And it helps us just be able to present this nice, clear scoring to our board. And we'll see what we can do in terms of available funding and funding all of these projects. I think with that, is there any more discussion, or do the panelists feel very comfortable with this scoring and feel good about presenting that to the Nevada Arts Council board?
This is Natalie. I feel very comfortable with these scores. I am pleased with the outcome of our discussion, and I think that these artists are highly deserving of funding from the Nevada Arts Council.
This is Carmen, and I'm very grateful, number one, to have this opportunity to work with you all on this. The artists are very lovely, and I do feel confident in the way that they were ranked.
Thank you both. Krista, if you can please just run through this range of applicants, just for the record, if we can go through and do the final scores for our round 3.
This is Krista. Sorry, my little bar was going back up. I couldn't unmute. It's like, stay down. Oh, sorry. This is Krista. We're looking at the final panel scores across the board for all of the applications. So application AFG 23-0087 was Carmen at 29, Natalie at 29 for an average score of 29. Application AFG 23-0027 was Carmen 28, Natalie 29 for an average score of 28.5. Application AFG 23-0048 was Carmen 29, Natalie 27 for an average score of 28. Application AFG 23-0058 was Carmen 30, Natalie 25 for an average score of 27.5. Application AFG 23-0054 was Carmen 27, Natalie 26 for an average score of 26.5. Application AFG 23-0067 was Carmen 30, Natalie 25 for an average score of 26. Application AFG 23-0049 was Carmen 23, Natalie 28 for an average score of 25.5. Application AFG 23-0055 was Carmen 27, Natalie 24 for an average score of 25.5. Application AFG 23-0070 was Carmen 26, Natalie 25 for an average score of 25.5. And application AFG 23-0037 was Carmen 30, Natalie 20 for an average score of 25. And application AFG 23-0083 was Carmen at 30, Natalie at 20 for an average score of 25.
Thank you, Krista. This is Tony. Just for, again, those watching and wondering why we didn't go down further to break those down. We know we do not have enough available funding to fund this full entire list. Our hope is that we can fund 3 to 4, potentially 2 to 4, I would say, on this list. But just for clarity, that's why we didn't go further down the list. It is all about available funding. So just so there was clarity there. The Nevada Arts Council Board and staff want to thank the panelists for your thoughtful work. And certainly I want to thank our staff for their thoughtful work in reviewing the FY23 Artist Fellowship, 3-dimensional and new genre works category. The Nevada Arts Council Board will meet in the next couple months to review the panel's recommendations and vote on the FY23 Visual Arts Fellowship recipients. Those are 2D and 3D. After the board approval, the Nevada Arts Council will announce the award decisions and fellowship recipients based upon available funding. The Arts Council will post fellowship recipients on their website and social media pages and reach out to all of our winning applications. We will now move to agenda item D, public comment. Is there anyone joining today's meeting who wishes to provide public comments? And we see none in the attendee section. I do see Harry. Do you want to say something?
Yes, for the record, Harry Ward, Deputy Attorney General, y'all did a great job. I want to commend the panel, Tony, everyone for doing a great job, obeying the open meeting laws and also being very conscious about identifying yourself. So good job, guys.
This is Tony. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate that. All right. Sapira or Stefan or Krista, have any of you received any public comments via email?
This is Sapir Churk. We have not received any comments.
Okay, thank you. This is Tony. We'll now move to agenda item E for possible action adjournment. This meeting is adjourned. And if we can have our panelists stay on
Thanks,
for
guys.
just a moment, just so we could ask a couple questions. Thank you.
I will be removing our attendees who are still in the.
Can stop the recording.
Yes, and
Stefan, I think.
Stefan or Sapir could stop the recording when you're able.